Testfish is an AI-assisted QA platform for product and operational QA teams to manage test cases, checklists, and workflows. It helps identify stability gaps while maintaining a clear audit trail. When a user logs into the system, they see a dashboard where they can see which of the defects and requirements are assigned to them, as well as the test runs they are part of. Also, for quick access, users can mark projects as start, and they can see them here on this dashboard. On the left pane, they also have dedicated tabs to see defects, requirements, and test runs assigned to them. Testfish has a concept of projects to isolate the test cases in their respective scopes. When we create a new project, we can either set the visibility of the project to public or private. If the visibility is set to public, we will select and apply a global role with the permissions associated with this role will be applied to all the users in the organization. If we set the visibility to private, we can give access to this project to multiple user groups, and each group will have their own visibility set assigning these roles, and we can also assign this project to individual users as well, and this will give us a granular control over the visibility and permissions of the project to user groups and individuals. The configuration section allows administrators to manage users' groups, roles, permissions, and different settings related to test runs. They can also manage subscriptions and AI credit purchases in this section. The user management section allows us to invite users via email. On the top level, we have a concept of user access levels. The regular users don't have access to this configuration tab. They can only be added to different projects within the organization. The admin and owners use this configuration section to manage users, groups, different configurations around test runs, as well as manage the billing and credit purchases. As shown in the project creation, we can create multiple user groups here to easily give access to multiple users using these groups and projects. Testfish lets you define roles with specific permissions for a project, making it easy to reuse the same roles and permission sets when creating new projects. Test runs can be associated with a milestone, and milestones has possible milestone types user can select from. Testfish provides with some default milestone types, and rest can be configured from this section. Each test run captures the output of individual test cases, allowing results to be marked with configurable statuses. Some statuses are predefined, while others can be customized from this section. Test cases, defects, and requirements each have their own configurable workflow states. From this section, you can add new states, enable or disable them, and set defaults. You can also reorder these workflow states, as needed. Apart from the default fields that we provide while creating a test case, we can also add custom fields from the section. These custom fields can be of different field types available here. To show the custom fields in our test case, we use a concept of templates. A test case can be associated with the template, which is optional. When we create a template, we add the required custom fields from this section, which will be displayed while creating a test case to capture the desired input. We can also control the visibility of these custom fields and templates, defining where they are available and which projects they apply to. In large organizations, it can be challenging to prevent multiple QA teams from overriding the same test cases. To address this, Testfish includes a review system. When enabled, all test cases go through an approval process before they become available in test plans and test runs. Testfish also integrates with defect and requirement management tools like Jira, ClickUp, and GitHub. Organizations can enable these integrations to push data to external platforms and sync updates back into Testfish. For larger organizations, Testfish supports single sign-on with SAML integrations for Okta, Microsoft, and Google. These can be configured from this section, allowing users to sign in using their existing workspace email IDs. Testfish also provides a native Jira app, allowing Jira users to link Testfish test cases directly and view test execution results within Jira. To enable this, we generate a user token from this interface, copy it, and add it in Jira under the Manage Apps section for Testfish. After testing the connection and saving the configuration, test statistics appear on Jira tickets, and users can view linked test cases or link additional ones directly from this section. Users can search for test cases by title and link them from Jira. This helps in requirements traceability within Jira and Testfish. On the project overview screen, you can see activity contributions from the last 1 year, along with metrics like the pass-to-fail ratio across the project's test cases. You can also view assigned defects for the currently logged-in user and the active milestones within the project. Segments help us define logical groups or categories that can be linked to test cases, helping organize and filter tests effectively. Personas represent different user types or roles, which can be associated with test cases to simulate real-world scenarios. Requirement and defect integrations can be managed at the project level. Each project can configure its own defect and requirement integrations using these options. Once you click on the requirement integration, the respective third-party project and other options will be shown. You can then create a mapping to push defects to the third-party system, as well as sync updates back. Similarly, for automation, you can configure it here by linking the right repository and workflow. The repository is the heart of the project. We can group test cases under test suites, which can be created from here. These test suites can also be nested within each other. On the right side, we can see the test cases for this test suite. We can clone them, edit them, and delete them as needed. While creating a test case, you can fill in the default available test case fields, and you can also add custom fields by selecting a template. You can attach tags for easier filtering and searching. For traceability, you can link the test case with internal requirements or with third-party requirement integration systems. For parameter and meter groups at the project level, you can import them, or you can also create them inline. Lastly, users can create test case steps inline. For common groups of steps, they can import them here, which helps reduce duplication. Users have option to clone test cases as well, to save time. Users also have ability to generate test cases using AI. They can input the requirement specs here and on this screen, and they can select the number of test cases they want to generate, and once they submit, the test cases will be generated from which they can select which of them they want to add in the respective suite. Users will select from the list of generated test cases generated by AI. Once generated, an AI badge will be shown for the test cases generated using AI. On the test case listing screen, users can filter the test cases by the available fields, as well as they can show and hide columns. They can also filter the test cases at the project level. Also, they can also find and search the test cases at the test suite level. We also show the number of test cases for the test case inline, as well as the linked requirements. Also, we show a pass to ratio fail ratio per test case as well as the test suite level. The test case module also allows you to quickly create test cases using this inline input field, where you can add the title, and the test case is created immediately. By default, the review system is turned off, which means that every new test case created is automatically set to an approved review status. As a result, the test case is immediately available to be added to test plans and test runs. When we turn reviews on, we have the option to choose the number of reviewers required, which operations need review, and whether anyone within the project is allowed to merge the review request. When a new test case is created with the review system enabled, it is shown with the default status of draft. We then need to submit a review request by selecting a list of reviewers. At the same time, users see inline feedback indicating that the test case is in a pending review state. On the test case review screen, reviewers can see the pending reviews or, in our case, a review of type creation. When a reviewer clicks on it, they can review all the added fields, including parameters and steps. If they want to share feedback, they can add comments here, or they also have the option to approve or reject the review request. Once all reviewers have completed their review, the review request becomes eligible to be merged. After it is merged, the test case becomes available in test plans and test runs. Admin users and project owners have access to merge review requests directly. So in our case, once we approve this section, we can merge the request. After it is merged, the test case is shown with the approved status, and we can now add it to test plans and test runs. We can view the details of a test case by clicking on it. When we do that, a drawer opens, where we can see the test case metadata, the parameters associated with it, and the steps it contains. We can also see linked defects, along with analytics, such as when the test case was last executed, its pass-to-fail ratio, and the execution history. Lastly, users can collaborate with each other by posting comments directly within the test case. We also have the option to share this URL with other users, so they can open this test case on another screen. In addition, each test case has a unique test case ID. This ID is used in the CI/CD pipeline when writing functional test cases, where we create a mapping using these IDs so results are properly synced back into our system during test runs. We also have the option to view the revision history of a test case. This shows what action was taken and the current status. We can also see a comparison view, showing what changed and what did not. Finally, we have the option to restore a previous version. To test the same set of test cases repeatedly in a test run, users can create a blueprint of these test cases using test plans, so they can be imported directly into future test runs. Users can capture test case results by creating and executing test runs. There are two types of test runs that can be created: manual test runs and automated test runs. The automated test run allows us to trigger workflows from GitHub repositories, and we receive the results back through a webhook, based on which we create an AI-based test run. Each AI-generated test run is marked with an AI badge. When we click on it, we can see the outcomes received from the CI/CD pipelines, based on the test case mappings. When we create a new test run, we can choose from the list of available test plans, or we can also manually select the test cases. We can associate this test run with a milestone, define the environment in which the test cases are being executed, and assign the test run to users within the project. Each test run details screen shows the list of selected test cases, grouped by test suite, as well as the list of defects logged against this test run. At the top level, we have the option to push defects to third-party systems if integrations are enabled, or to our local defect management system. We can also rerun the test run if needed, and we have the option to mark it as complete, which puts the test run into a read-only state. In addition, we can rerun individual test cases, which allows us to see the list of executions per test case, along with linked defects from both the internal system and third-party integrations. When we click the Start or Continue Test Run button, it opens the first untested test case in the test run. We also have auto-incremental time logging, with the option to overwrite it if needed. We can capture output at the test case level, as well as at the individual step level. Beyond that, we can view metadata such as information, parameters, defects, and execution history. We also have the option to collaborate using comments. Lastly, we can send defects to third-party integrations, or to the local defect management system directly from the test case level. Test runs can be associated with environments. We can define the environments where these test runs are executed. For each environment, we can provide an environment name, a host, and any description related to that environment. Similarly, we can have multiple configurations that can be used per test run. These can include browsers, operating systems, and other settings. We can add the configuration name and define the possible options, which can then be applied within the test run when it is created in this section. To track progress, we can define multiple milestones per project, which will be associated with test runs when they are executed. To define a milestone, we can enter a name, choose a milestone type from the available options, select a start date and a target date, and provide a description. Testfish comes with a default defect management system, which allows you to log and manage defects against test run executions. To create a defect, we can enter a title for the defect, choose from the available workflow states, which can be configured from the configuration tab, associate a milestone, and set a due date for the defect. We can also associate the defect with a test run, as well as the test case within that test run. Additionally, we can choose the priority and severity, and assign it to users as per our requirements. Testfish comes with two ways to present defects to you. By default, defects are shown in a list view, and we also have the option to view defects in a Kanban view. In the Kanban view, we can move items across columns as needed. Testfish also allows you to manage requirements without relying on third-party systems, giving you better accessibility and traceability with test cases. To create a requirement, we can enter a title, choose a workflow state, select a requirement type, associate a milestone, set a due date, assign it to a user, and define the severity and priority. Similarly, requirements can also be viewed in a Kanban view. We can also see the test cases linked to each requirement for traceability. Testfish also allows you to manage project-level parameters from a single location. This makes it easy to reuse the same parameters across test cases without duplicating them. While creating or editing a parameter, you can define the parameter name, choose its data type, add a description, specify whether the parameter is required or optional, and then define the values that will be available for that parameter. For test cases that require a combination of multiple parameters and their respective values, we can create parameter groups. Parameter groups include a group name and a description. We can add multiple parameters here, along with their respective values, which can be defined as specific combinations of values. Testfish also allows you to define step groups that contain a combination of multiple reusable steps. While defining a step group, we provide a name and a description, and then we can add multiple inline steps here. These parameters are used within test cases, so there is no duplication, and we can control which steps can be changed from the same place. For a better user experience, Testfish allows you to control the theme based on your preferences. You can choose between a system light or dark theme, and based on that you can select different primary colors. You also have the option to change the base appearance as needed.